Says we are live. Right. Hey guys, it's Matt Haycox here. We are doing another Corona podcast live stream. I've got Camilla Collins with me today. Just making sure this is working. If any of you are watching, you can just drop a little comment in the comment box. As usual, we're going to be doing it live and recording it for future use on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. So we will answer your questions if you drop them in the comment box, but also, I need to try and keep some semblance of order to the interview, given that it's going to be published at a later date. So forgive me if I don't get to you all in the chronological order that you come in, but we will do our very best. Morning, Chantel. Right, okay, Camilla, I will do our intro and get going. You good to go?
I'm good to go. I'm ready.
Cool. Hey guys, it's Matt Haycox here, and today I have got with me Camilla Collins for part of our special Corona lockdown remote podcast series. Now, Camilla is a self-image specialist, and she's the founder of multiple beauty and creative agencies. She works with individuals, luxury brands, and corporations. She's also published her first book, which is called #NoFilterNeeded, which is all about kicking unobtainable standards to the curb and reimagining the power within yourself. Camilla and I were talking about this a little bit before we came online. Basically translated as finding the inner confidence within yourself. So as a businesswoman, an author, and a lot to say about many topics which I know are going to be relevant to a lot of the audience here, particularly some of our small business entrepreneurs who are in the makeup and beauty space. I know you're going to have some questions and some interesting stuff to hear from Camilla, and I think everyone in general could probably do with a bit of a confidence boost and a mindset rejig right now. It's certainly something I talk about on most of my lives and podcasts at the moment. So Camilla, thanks a lot for being here, and I'm sure the guys at home are going to be very much looking forward to listening to what you've got to say as well.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Awesome.
Obviously, I gave a very brief introduction, but do you want to kind of fill us in with a bit more detail? How did it begin? Flesh out some of the different business models you're involved with.
Sure. So I trained as a makeup artist over a decade ago now, and I was initially trained in TV, film, and theatre hair and makeup, so prosthetics, special effects, and wigs and things. And I started off in the filming industry, and then sort of a year or so in, it's a hard one to crack, and I ended up assisting on a wedding anyway, or a couple of weddings, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed just, I guess, being with people and sort of working closely with them. So I decided to turn my focus towards building up my bridal agency, or bridal business at the time. And I built that up with just me, and then I sort of turned it to an agency when I was getting bookings in that I couldn't fulfill because I was already booked, and it was quite seasonal with weddings. So that was sort of my idea for starting the agency there. And I built that up, and then I missed all the creative stuff, the more kind of arty stuff, and I decided to make another sort of agency for private events with the more creative stuff. And that was like, prosthetics, and Halloween was very, very busy. And then off the side of that, sort of purely by accident, we were doing a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, private parties. So I formed the little arm, I guess, called Glitter and Glow. And that's turned into, I guess, an entertainment feature, which sort of festival glitter, UV painting, quite retro theme. We've got mobile usherette trays, and that's another agency in itself. And so, yeah, that took me up to about 8 years within it all. And yeah, I guess I had this period where I wasn't sure whether there was something wasn't right. Was it? I don't know if it was a work problem or a me problem. So that's when I was starting to have a real dig around myself, and a lot of, thinking back, and I guess just really looking back on everything and trying to work out, what was up, or where I wanted to go, and if where I was heading was actually where I wanted to go, or if I kind of just been sort of swept up with it. And this was going on for a while, really. And so that's really kind of how the book came about, which looks like a dig at my industry. yeah, hashtag NoFilterNeeded. And it's not at all really. It's more about finding the confidence from within. And I just felt, I was looking at the way the world is, and the way I am as well, and I've been swept up by things, and it's so, I guess, noisy out there. There's so much digital stuff that we're viewing. We used to have to turn on the TV or open up the newspaper to get news or to get information, and now we've got our phones on us all the time. We have all this content and so much information being fed to us that it's quite easy to get taken in by. And the marketers are at play, and as a job, marketing is to make you feel lack, essentially, and so you buy whatever the thing is, whether it's a car or makeup or a watch. So I wanted to really create some more awareness around this, and in the book there's the beauty bullshit busting section, as I like to call it, and that looks at the marketing tactics of the beauty industry, and what they're doing to make you spend your money. But really, you can take that and apply it to anything. So a bit of an expose, I guess, and then just providing some tools, generally creating that awareness, but providing some tools to dig deep beneath your skin, and reconnect with your values and with your purpose, and sort of relinking perhaps like pain and pleasure links within your brain, and just general kind of mindset stuff. And that's really what I've been writing for the last couple of years, first of all with myself, and then working with other people.
I guess it's going to be hard to condense many pages of a book into a very quick conversation now. But I'm sure most people at home now can be, as we said at the beginning, doing with a confidence boost, doing with a mindset adjustment. I mean, have you got one or two I guess quick tips, immediate wins from the book that people at home right now could implement?
Yeah, I think really, particularly at this time, we have been given gifts, I guess, in a way of this. It's not even so much time we have, it's more the space to do it without a lot of the day-to-day distractions that we normally have of going off to meet people and running around doing things, vying for our attention. And I just think it's really the greatest opportunity to reconnect with ourselves. And there's many ways you can do that, whether it's like morning pages or writing down thoughts and feelings in the morning, which might seem awkward if you've never done it before, but it's a great way of getting stuff out that's kind of flying around your head that you don't necessarily realize is there, that is, I guess, clouding your thinking. And even just there's a little exercise, again, and another awkward one, it takes some time to do, but looking in the mirror and just identifying with yourself and things on you that you like about you. And it could be something as small as a freckle or something, and it could be because it's misshapen and it looks weird, but really honing in on that and thinking about what it is that connects you with that thing. And it's a very grounding exercise, and I think that we all need to be grounded right now with so much uncertainty.
Okay, so and also, I guess I know I asked you this before, but before we came on, but I was saying, obviously coming from a makeup background, and the title of the book, I was asking if it was male or female, and obviously you were saying it was, let's say, predominantly aimed at female, but could still apply to the males. I mean, are there any particular things that would stand out as unisex, or any particular translations for people who would not normally expect to resonate with with someone in your space?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of all the mindset stuff, really. The book starts off with a bit of a history lesson as such of people changing their appearance for thousands of years to solicit power and status. And, that goes for all of us. We all do it, with the way we dress. It's not just a makeup thing. And we can do it with our body language and the way we speak as well. And we're, trying to convince people of a certain reality, I guess, power suits and all of that. So that's that stuff that's definitely relatable to everybody, but certainly the mindset stuff and relinking pain, pleasure, and perception on all of that. There's an exercise in the book to do that, which I think is really important for us all to do, to get on top of our thinking as such, and be in control, or as in control as possible, to manage our lives, to manage our thoughts, to manage our emotions, so that we can be more productive.
Obviously, your background and still your current day as well, I guess, is in the makeup business. The provision of other people in a self-employed space, etc. And obviously, a lot of my audience are small businesses. Particularly, I know of late I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram from people who are in hair and beauty, makeup, etc. People who are unable to operate their usual business model right now. I mean, obviously, I've been talking to a lot of people in general about, let's say, top level adaptations, more generic ways to take businesses online, to use this time as a big marketing effort, etc. But I mean, obviously, you're first hand in that beauty space. I mean, how have you struggled yourself? How have you been adapting to the situation, and what advice have you got to other people in your space?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, all our businesses are on pause right now, as I believe anyone in health and beauty would be. And we work in events, like we don't do as many kind of one-to-one lessons. It's very much, we've got the entertainment for parties and large events, and then we've got wedding, hair and makeup and things like that on the other. It doesn't really make sense to try and move that online necessarily. And I think it was very noisy at the beginning, with people initially panicking, like, how do I create something online? And if that fits and there is a way there, then absolutely, I'd say start thinking about that. But there's a lot of back end stuff. I think life is so busy for all of us. There's a lot of back end stuff that we could be taking care of during this pause period. And that, creating even blog posts, getting a sort of strategy in place, managing your diary. Planning always tends to go out a little bit out the window when everything's kind of rushing around. So I've been spending my time sort of creating a strategy for blog posts, for SEO, lining that all up, starting a newsletter. I've launched my podcast as well. Turns out there's less places to hide in lockdown from procrastinating to do things. So that launched the other week. So, I'm keeping busy with what I can do. And, even when there's sort of no income, like, we're all in the same boat. Of course, there are some people that have a little bit coming in, and others, people are doing better than others. But, we're all affected in different ways. And I think, the best thing is to stay true to your values, and don't try and, of course, if you can pivot, that's great, and you can change stuff, and probably it's going to make you really think a different way. So I think a lot of stuff is going to come good of this eventually, even though you're racking your brains and stressing. But completely throwing everything out and trying something new, I really wouldn't advise. And what I've come up with for us, we're an agency, and we're lucky enough to have manpower, I guess, and a lot of people. And what's going to happen particularly in events, is people are going to be, they are postponing their weddings, they're moving them to next year. And so, single, freelancers or one-man bands as such are then obviously losing out, because they've got to move the wedding, but they're losing out on the bookings of next year, because they're already going to be booked in for this year. So I've decided, after talking to one of my team, she seemed this was a good idea. So I'm going to start almost like an affiliate program, where, because we have the capacity to take on bookings, we can take these off from other artists, and we can obviously give them a percentage, so they're not completely losing out on the bookings. And obviously potentially that works well for us, because they're leads there that we wouldn't have necessarily had. So there's other ways of working around things. It might be a long game, but I also think this time of pausing gives us a bit of the space to think properly, instead of fighting fires all the time, which I think so many of us do.
100%. I mean, a lot of what you've said has echoed the comments that I'm, basically saying on a day by day basis, or kind of talking about day after day, to the point that I'm sure people have got sick of listening to me about it now. But I guess if they're tired of listening, they need to stop asking the question and start actually getting on with it. But like you say, I mean, yes, some business models can adapt to continue to bring in income. Some might be able to bring in limited income, but even if you can't bring in income, there is so many things that need doing. At the simplistic menial level of all the admin and the general housekeeping that never ever gets done. Through to the more important but still probably boring and neglected things. Like sorting out your website, updating your flyers, updating your Rolodex and your diary and your calendars, through to like you've said yourself, you've started your podcast, you're doing your SEO, you're doing your blog posts. And these are all the things that people use the excuse of time to avoid doing. And as I'm saying to everybody every day now, if come the end of lockdown you haven't done these things, you haven't started your blog post, you haven't started a podcast, you haven't been bashing out some content on Instagram, so time is no longer a possible excuse to use. You're just lazy or weak or whatever words we want to use. And if you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it.
No, I agree. And I think we're all going to learn a lot about ourselves during this time because, without the distractions there, we're left with ourselves. And, all the excuses that we had for a lot of things, like you say, time is one of them, that it's not really there anymore. And so if things aren't getting done, it's generally because we don't want to do them, and maybe it's not meant for us. And I think a lot of people might be having a rethink on their careers, and a rethinking about where they're going, that their values in general, but where they're headed, because we do have this pause where we've got time to think and take stock, review, and work out, plan our next course of action, and not have to leap into it because we're pushed with other stuff. We have that space.
100%. So what does the future hold for Camilla? Where are we going to see you post lockdown?
Do you know what? I am just taking a lot of time for me at the moment and I am definitely reconnecting with myself. I think I've had a lot of stuff on the go, a lot of plates spinning, which hasn't really been serving me, and I don't think it serves everyone else either. Sort of rushing around in a mad spin. So I've actually really kind of reconnected with where I started my business, which was writing my little blog posts and uploading my website. But obviously now I've got various websites, 3 or 4 websites, and social media pages to go with that, and it all sort of became too much. So I'm going to be stripping things back and really taking the golden nuggets, the stuff that I really want to take forward, and the stuff that I'm passionate about, because then things shouldn't be a slog if you're passionate about those things, and we have the time to redesign our future. So I'm really taking the elements that I guess light me up, that would have me jumping out of bed in the morning, and things that I want to do, so I can be a better person out the other end, and serve other people better in business and in my personal life. I'm not entirely sure what it fully looks like yet, but I'm working.
I like everything you're saying. Most of it very much echoes the stuff I talk about every day. So it's interesting to get somebody else's take, somebody else's take on the same stuff. Somebody from a different industry, or different geographic space, etc. So it's refreshing to hear rather than a lot of day-to-day moaning. Well, listen, Camilla, it's been fantastic having you here. And for anybody listening, where can they find you? Where can they get the book? Where can they get you on social? Give yourself a little plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Shameless plug. So Instagram is @Camilla J Collins, and I hang out there a lot, so do come and say hi. The book is #NoFilterNeeded, and it's available on Amazon. If you just Google my name, it's probably easiest. I found out yesterday that a book with the same name came out 3 days before mine.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I was like, oh dear, never mind.
Well,
Yeah,
they've laid the groundwork for you. They'll help the SEO, and you can jump in on the back end.
I do. Well, they're in America and they've got a big following, I think, and a lot of reviews. So I was like, damn it. Never mind. But the website's camillacollins.com, and on there's the link, there's an enterprises page to all the businesses. So you can find out more about me on there. But yeah, absolutely, come say hi on Instagram.
Awesome. Listen, Camilla, thanks a lot for being here, guys. I'm sure you've enjoyed listening to some of Camilla's commentary and advice for small businesses. Like I say, I know a lot of you guys are in the health, beauty, makeup space, and you ask me questions every day. So the next time anyone in the future is asking me, I'm going to be pointing them in the direction of this podcast, so I can save my words and give Camilla a plug. All right, thanks a lot, Camilla.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.